So we are about as ready as we're ever going to be. This is Shelf Life 27. And if you hear a bunch of noise, my son and my wife are making dinner. I am not going to wait for the perfect opportunity. You also might hear the dryer. You might hear my hot water heater go off. Reality. I'm not sponsored. If you'd like to sponsor me, I'm open to it. So let's take our sip. I don't have soda right now. On a more healthier kick recently. I'm thirsty. So, I'm back in like a fun reading, let's go kind of way. I got notes, a lot of notes. I got books to talk about. And I have a question to begin with, and let's start it off with like and subscribe. I think we're at month 7 with these shelf lives. And let's try to blow up this channel as much as possible. Tell your friends. If you have an interesting topic, say it. Because any interaction helps me out tremendously. So it makes it all worth it. Even if there's nobody who watches this, I'm still going to make these things because it's fun and it's good practice and I like getting the reps. They are having fun making dinner. This is awesome. It is family day, Sunday. My son is obsessed with King Kong, so he's doing a lot of like yelling like King Kong. Also, shelf life. The second meaning kind of revealed itself to me. Originally, it was like, shelf life like thug life. I really hope that's not super terrible or annoying, but oh well, I'll just talk over everybody. Or do you take it at like that's the way I only saw it as like shelf life, thug life, very cool. But I was also thinking shelf life as in like rotting food, like this has a shelf life and expiration date, and I was thinking about how that would look aesthetically. I'm like, all right, if you took shelf life in Old English and then make it rot, that looks like super death metal. That'd be a fun shirt. Okay. I have so much to talk about with you people. Let's just start with this one. The Power of Showing Up. I talked about this before. I listened to this book. It was awesome. It helped with any anxiety you have about parenting. I learned a lot about attachment styles and how to be a better dad. I'm not an expert on this. This was a good nonfiction. This was a good something to listen to, and I learned quite a bit. So if you're a parent, especially if you're a papa, check it out. It never hurts to add to your knowledge of parenting, ever. I think it's just a benefit all around. But my wife gave me that one. I started reading it, and I was like, I have other things to read, so I'm going to listen. And that's how I usually pick my listening. I'm, by trade, I'm a welder, so I have my big hood on most of the day, but I also have my earbuds in. So I listen to podcasts, I listen to music, and I listen to books. So usually the books that I don't like, there's only so much time. So the time I like to spend reading physical media is with these books. And I mean, I can't get to everything that I want to. So that's why listening is really useful and beneficial. You can gain the knowledge. I like to listen to audiobooks at 1.3 to 1.5 speed. You catch 99%. It might sound kind of funny, but there we go. That's the first one. Second one, I was listening to Life on Books podcast, and they talked about a article that was written. I think I'm kind of current on this. An article from the LA Review of Books against high broadernism. I think that's a coin by Federico Perelmuter. I am butchering that name. He's an Argentinian gentleman. But it's against high broaderism. Bro and modernism smushed together. And it's mainly all pretty much what I'm aspiring to be. And in the beginning of it, he had a long list of books. I went straight to Goodreads. Want to read. And it was kind of funny because after, my most popular video on YouTube is the short where I said I had a cover on Infinite Jest because I didn't want to be the guy who's reading Infinite Jest because I didn't know what I was getting into, and everyone's like, "What is wrong with you?" Or I completely understand, but I'm beyond that now, and I felt like Infinite Jest, The Tunnel, and Gravity's Rainbow were like the the pinnacles of that kind of lit bro books. And like after I finished this, I'm like, ah, cool. I'm kind of like, there's still a lot to read, but I'm a little more incognito about like, oh, the guy who reads Infinite Jest. And after seeing this article, I'm like, oh, there's a whole list. Like, I'm just getting started. So that was kind of fun. The article was mainly about uh, Laszlo Krasnohorkai's book. I don't know the name. Oh, 2260. I don't know. But Laszlo's on the list. I want to read Saint Tango at some point, or Satan Tango, or I don't know. I'm kind of rambling right now. This is fun. There's so much to discuss. Okay, so let's talk. I'm still going to need that. I don't know why I closed it. We're going to talk about, after I finished that one, I needed a shorty. Look at that. That is a grand total of like 105 pages. This book was sick. Like, I consumed the bejesus out of this. This was so awesome. I highly recommend it. I also warn you, it is gruesome. The prose is curt. It is like, oh, all right. Very cool. And it starts, I'm not going to do spoilers at all. I'm just kind of getting comfortable if you see me situate myself. It starts off from a young guy who is waking up in a battlefield. He's got blood all up in his ear and his head. There is noise. He's disoriented, and he's kind of like stumbling around. And from there, we're on the adventure. Every step is painful. His arm is like blown to smithereens pretty much, and he's like in a delirium. And it's that for a while, and then he manages his way to like a train where like the train is full of all sorts of other messed up people, and off they go. And I think he tries to escape in some way, or like, I've had enough of this, and like I'm done. And then he wakes up and he's in a hospital, kind of doesn't know where he is, what's around him, but he just sees like piles of dead bodies in a basement. And now he thinks everyone around him is like, oh, they think I'm in a coma. So he's like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to talk anything. I'm not going to do anything. And then they start processing him, and they're like, oh, we need to catheterize him. And then like the nurses think he's like pretty much just a body to play with. So they have their way with him, and then he kind of wakes up and comes to. And then after that, he starts, you see like the all for one for one of wartime. It's like, I am here for myself. And that's, I don't care for anybody else. And like, it's selfish, but it's also terrifying. Let me see, what else did I have here? Hospital stacked with the dead. He talks a lot about the stench of it. The workers, it's wounded. They allow the catheter. I am not going to say those parts. Tonguing a dead tooth with one of the nurses. You see a lot of distrust. And you also see the closeness later. You see the closeness of like opulence with the juxtaposition of like, you're desensitized to the level of danger that's, you could see it. It's like right over there. Me, I'd be like, emergency, time to leave. And it's just like, this is normal. It's right over. Like that kind of looming doom. I love that kind of stuff. And the arguments and the way that people are thinking, it's very base. It's very instinctual, and it's very like, you could tell it's very like the thought pattern during war is like reptilian brains. Like we're not cerebral. We're all brainstem. I have to fill the void with some kind of a sound. You forget where you are quickly. There's a lot of lies. You're mistaken. And you see how there's a lot of disinformation and how you have to quickly react. People are always watching your reaction, seeing what you're doing, and there's like a selfish navigation in a survival mode, and it's written perfectly, but it's so to the point. It's like, how did you just do that with that many pages? Awesome. There's a fancy dinner party where there's an epic argument and kind of things are revealed. That's kind of like a turning point in the book at this dinner party. And people are like arguing not to like be logical, but they're using their words to act like animals, to cut, to gnaw, to hurt one another. Then there's like an angst of escape. The prose was elementary in a good way. Kurt, and someone said that Céline, that's who wrote this, Louis Ferdinand Céline, I'm very interested in the other works, narrated by Charlotte Mandel, said that he's very human in his writing, and spot on, very well said. The gripe I have with this. So in the beginning, you see that this was an old manuscript that was discovered in 2020. I'm just kind of quickly looking over this publisher's notes, and there are inconsistencies with the manuscript, and there are like brackets that say ineligible word or a couple sentences we couldn't figure out. And right here at the beginning of the book, when you open this book, it says an index of recurrent characters can be found on page 107. All right, cool, good to know that that's there. It doesn't say that there's a spoiler right there. It doesn't say it's going to tell you like what happens. So I was at page like 75, and then I just went straight back there. I'm like, let's see, I have some time. Let's take a look, just like, because we're getting to a point where there are more characters and some names are changing, and we're getting kind of like using aliases. So what's going on here? And the second character, like the second most important guy, right here in the index of who's who, cover your ears, because I'm gonna spoil it. Ready? I'll go like this. When you can come back. All ready? 1, 2, 3. He combines Cascade and says his name is actually Julian Bosian. I mess up names so bad. We'll talk about that later. He ends up executed. Like the second line of that, bro, you just spoiled. Like, thank God it didn't take me to the end. But I mean, if this was a longer book or something, like within the next 10 pages, that happened. But imagine if I just read that like before I even met that character, that would have sucked. That kind of pissed me off. Like, don't put that in there, or at least say like, be forewarned if you're going to go check out the index. This was published by New Directions. I don't know too much about them. I've heard that New Directions, but I mean, like, New Directions, why did you do that? Like, that was a straight up spoiler right there, right on, like in the beginning when you said an index of recurrent characters can be found on page 107. Like, there's no like warning, like, hey, we're going to tell you everything back here. But that was kind of disappointing. I thought that sucked. The book, though, A+, exceptional. So once I finished that, I was like, what am I going to do? We need to figure out where we are at. I am not DNFing this. I don't like to DNF anything. So I kind of got lost. I'm on the chapter Roman Bandits. I have 8 pages left in Roman Bandits. And that is a chapter within a chapter within a chapter. It's like you have the main story with Dante's, and he kind of gets to the point where he finds the treasure. If you haven't read this story yet, sorry. Like, it's been out for how many hundreds of years. And then, like, if you take a couple months off from reading this and then you come back, it's kind of like, all right, and I'm not good with all these names, especially translated ones that are in French. I can't speak these, so I kind of make up the names. I'm like, oh, that guy, and it's just, I'm a visual person, so I like see the characters and everything. I'm like, that guy. I got totally lost, and I kept thinking that I already read this chapter. Like, I read the part with the bandits and everything, but no, there's a whole bunch of other bandits that I didn't know about, and that goes into that, and I'm like, who's this guy Albert? I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's that guy. So I was super confused, and I asked AI to help me out, and it's like, oh, you're here, and I'm like, no, I didn't read that part, and we had a little chat, and now I think I kind of know where I am. We're at the part where we're learning the backstory of the Roman bandit. Its name starts with a V. Varga, I think. I'm sure I'll be able to see it right here. Vampa. Vampa. I'm learning the backstory of Vampa and that. So I got 8 pages left, and that will be good for, like, because it's a serial book and I'm not in a rush with this one. That'd be good to, like, finish the week off and, like, all right, bang that out. I'm going to do that today. And then this week, I also started reading Desperate Characters by Paula Fox. This was on David Foster Wallace's reading syllabus list, and it was another shorty. And I didn't know too much about it, but when someone saw my bookshelf, or I made a video about this, someone's like, oh, Paula Fox, people don't give her enough credit. So I started reading this. This is dope as hell. Like, let's see, what notes did I have? Desperate Characters. It's a story. Oh, I got to really lay into this and read some, because I would have done Shelf Life yesterday, but I lost power, which sucked, but also it afforded me to go analog and, like, I'm going to read a whole bunch, whereas, like, in the first quarter, I was still kind of dreading, like, having to read, because it's like I felt like I was behind. But now it's like, a story yesterday, No Power, and After My Run. So, Desperate Characters is about, I'm not sure when it takes place. Is it in the 50s? Does it say on the back? It must be like the 60s or 70s, because they talk quickly. No, it can't be 70s. I think it's early 60s, if I have to use my context clues. And it's mainly about this rich, well-off Brooklyn couple, childless couple, and it's, you see a window into their life. They live in, like, the brownstones, and you see the gentrification. I don't know if it happened before, but you see the beginnings of gentrification happening in Brooklyn. And the rich side of, you just see it, like, from the rich perspective, and the attitudes, and you see, like, the beginnings of the feminist movement, and you see sexual liberation, and you see kind of like the hippies, and how that contrasts with the classic conservative lifestyle, and, like, the Leave It to Beaver-ness, and how that began to die in Brooklyn, and how, and all the tension that made. And it all is revolved around this one woman, Sophie, who is a bleeding heart, and she decides to feed a stray cat, and she gets, like, bit on her hand, and then she has, like, a dinner party to go to that night, and all the characters she meets throughout 1 or 2 days, and then, like, a backstory about an affair, and her hand is just starting to blow up more and more and more, and then she wakes up the next morning, and it's not so much. I think it's like 190 pages, with Jonathan Franzen has, like, a 30-page intro, which is dope. I didn't read that yet. I'm going to save that till after, because I don't like having my initial read be tainted from any opinions. But I'm on chapter 8, page 96. I'll read more of this. I'm going to finish this definitely in the next 2 days. I have to get new tires on my truck tomorrow, so I'll probably sit and just finish that. Excellent so far. And what we've all been waiting for. We are going to talk about my first read of Let's Get It Back Out. Here it is. Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. Look at that. Here's the spine. First edition. There was a little tear, but I bought it like that. That didn't happen. Let's talk about the experience of, this just feels weighty. The experience of this book. Everyone was like, why are you bringing that in your lunchbox? Why are you bringing this to work? You're going to ruin this book. I was very careful with this book. I did not mark anything. I barely used a bookmark, and whenever I was reading it, I would not go past 90 degrees. Like even like this, I kept like, I would leave it flat and I would read it here, and then the next page I do this. So I was very careful with this spine, just because like I don't care what this spine is, but I didn't want like the glue to have the pages peel out. So this is done. I am done reading this particular copy. It'll stay here. It was my first edition, and when I do a reread, which I will be doing, I'm buying myself another copy, one that I can mark the hell out of. So let's get into it. I don't know what the fuck this book is about. This book is crazy. It's awesome. It's crazy. But there was a lot of Year of the Plow spirit with this. I could not wait to finish it so I could watch like all the analytics. Like I watched Leaf by Leaf, his 3-hour symposium class of this. That dude is smart. Like I remember I watched his thing on the tunnel in Infinite Jest, and I was like, this dude's in a whole different world. Like, what am I doing? Amateur hour. But let's get into it. I took some notes from watching his, just to like get my head around it. But I remember reading this. Part 1, I really, really liked. It had that paranoia of there's no control, you won't hear it coming, and the impending doom. It's just, yes, my style, the impending doom. Excellent. And yeah, then we can get into, I have at the bottom of this page, this is just the Gravity's Rainbow page, my Joe's random thoughts. So with reading the first edition, Gravity's Rainbow, what's it about? It's about rockets and the end of World War II, but it's about so much more. So much more. There's a plot, but there's not really a main one. I thought that the White Visitation area was almost, it was a huge parallel to the halfway house in Infinite Jest. I feel like it was just set up the same way. Like the White Visitation, was it a laboratory? It's like a London thing of houses. It's just like a building, like, but like the super dystopian. But it reminded me a lot of the halfway house in Infinite Jest. And again, not a literary guy, not a scholar. This is just like my first read, and I know I'm so much right over the head, but it was just like, I need to consume this to have the experience of consuming Gravity's Rainbow. The V2 explosion sites of Blitzkrieg, London. A lot on free will and determination. The feeling of no hope. Just that whole pattern, the no hope feeling, like that, with the humor and the bizarro-ness of, like, it's almost inexplainable. I'm doing my best. The child experiment, when I can't explain it, but Slothrop, our protagonist, if that's what you want to call him, out of the barrage of characters, he was experimented on as a child, and something with his skin and like a Pavlovian thing. It made sense when you read it. It was like, I could see it in my mind, like that paragraph, how it was explained, how his erections would coincide with where these V2 rocket explosion sites were. Like he was like the antenna for this, and it's like, oh, that makes sense how that was conditioned into him. A ton of this book went over my head, but it seemed like the whole of the book I couldn't grasp. But okay, I got this page. To the next page is like, I'm okay, and then it would have like a story, but I wouldn't see how it was connected. A lot was just like loose bits and pieces that I'm sure a reread, and now that I know kind of the main character, like I could follow. And here's another thing, names. The names in here, Enzian, got him. Tchiktarine, I don't know, pudding, uh, and then there are some normal names. I think it's Katya. I think that's how it's pronounced. But in my head, it's like I said, it's a lot of like I recognize the characters and like I see the name together. It's like that guy. But in my head, I won't even pronounce it in my head. Does anybody else do that? Uh, mm, mm, mm. There's a lot of clairvoyance, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Ending in the theater, in the U.S. as a theater, and that's interesting how it was done like later in like the 70s in L.A. The back and forth of artificial human technology. It was like artificial human technology combating with the laws of nature, and that pulling back and forth, and that created like a god complex. Fascinating. There wasn't a whole lot of violence in this for like war was war was much more gruesome than Gravity's Rainbow. This one was like there's a lot of death on scale that you just have to wrap your head around. This one was like in your face grit. There's and these were the leaf by leaf notes. Not a whole lot of violence, and here's something for me to research between the tunnel and Gravity's Rainbow. Who the hell is Rilke? Like, I need to figure out these maximalist authors are obsessed with Rilke, and I need to figure that out. I think he's like a poet or some sort of a German writer from the past, but I think Nazis were obsessed with him, or I don't know. So, for context, the way that I finished this book, I told you guys like in one of my haikus, I'm like, hey, sorry, I can't do this right now because I did my PR at work. I had a 24-hour overtime shift, and I went in from 6 at night to 6 at night, and then I did a pace. I was like, all right, if I do 3 pages an hour, I could finish this book. And it's like, and I'm like, I kind of didn't want to because I was completely lost. But once I started doing this, at the end, I don't know if this is how the end of the book is, where it just kind of clicked, but a lot of things came together in those last 60 pages that I'm like, oh, this book is dope. And I had told you guys in the past that I don't know if I have any up here, that I was into occult books and old mythos books, Norse stuff, tarot decks. I used to study a lot of that, and to have that like all of a sudden manifest in Gravity's Rainbow, it's like all like the context clues and things were revelatory, and I was like, I missed so much. There was so much for me to know, and I could also see how if you didn't have that context, it would be just as confusing. So that shows like the depth and density of Pynchon's work. Fascinating. And the fact that he did it on his first manuscript on graph paper, like what a psycho, like in a great engineering way. So my final notes, just like I'm like, all right, what are some of your final thoughts that are just going to be choppy? I really liked part one, the dominatrix and the high officer. That was gruesome. We aren't going to talk about it. I might get this video canceled for that. It was super bizarre. Like it was like a dream at some points where one of the characters, like their foot has like a toilet on it, like, and they're just like, kind of like Super Mario-esque. The character names, all the German words, I can't pronounce. I don't know what we're being, and I am not looking up everything in this book. It is so expansive. It's like it would have taken me a year, and I also didn't have any of the supplemental stuff. The pudding accident, I think that's the guy's name, the pudding accident in the bear suit and how he was mixed up with Slothrop, the way that ended, that was gruesome. I totally caught everything happening right then and there. Really got lost, but I refused to DNF. Limes for shorties. What is this? I don't know what that says. Finished the last pages, 60 pages in 24 hours. That's what made the most sense to me, even though I was super tired. Yeah, dude. Gravity's Rainbow is awesome. Like, I feel like, and I finally feel like I can talk to people about Gravity's Rainbow. Like, I've been through it, and whether you're like a pro or not, like, now I know what everyone's talking about, and that's in and of itself is totally worth the read. I After watching the leaf by leaf of this and a couple other people that like I don't know their channel's name, I apologize. Gravity's Rainbow is absolutely sick, and should you just hop into this if you're interested? Yeah, it's a book, it's in English, you can read it. Get ready for confusion. You're going to be lost, you're not going to know what's happening, but come, please. We want to have more people to chat about this. It's crazy. I thought I had to read V first. I'm going to read V at some point. If you want to just get into Pynchon, The Crying of Lot 49, like if you want to see what you're in for with like weird, bizarre, like, okay, we're going to talk about this tangent. Like, all right, well, we're talking about this one lady and she's kind of on this mystery, and then all of a sudden there's a play and we're going to talk about the play. You get kind of like a flavor for it, but like hop in, just go for it. But you're gonna want to reread it. So I want to reread it. I want another copy of this to just absolutely rip apart. There's not much more that I can say at this point. We're already at past the half hour mark. I absolutely loved it. It's in my top number of books, but I don't know if this is popular or not popular or what you think. But as of right now, with my current understanding, and I've never reread a book, it's number 2. This is number 2 for me. This right here is still number 1. This is my favorite book right now. But these two, I feel like they're twins. Like they go hand in. You got to read one to read. You don't have to read one to read the other. But like, if you read this, you're gonna have curiosity about this one. So, do you read one or the other first? I don't know. In the future, let's talk about what's coming up. In the future, I'm reading this, Desperate Characters. I'm not sure after that, but this one, Gravity's Rainbow, took me mainly the first quarter, and I feel like I am behind with my reading, and now I'm kind of got some steam going. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of shorties, a lot of, like, I've noticed after Gravity's Rainbow, like, reading other things, it's like, oh, this is a breeze, and it's really nice. I feel like I got my reading endurance, so we're going to take a break. Probably the next big chunker that I like to call them, we're going to be reading Solenoid. That's probably the next big one. I also have a couple of fun projects. I have an idea for a big run that I'm going to be doing to a bookstore. So keep an eye out for that. I hope you've been liking the mashup of my two worlds. I kind of kept this page quiet, not because like I was hiding anything, but I wanted it to grow organically without the friends and family being like, oh, we support you. Like, I wanted it to do it just like completely on my own. And now that it's been like a couple months, it was like, enough's enough. Like, a couple of my friends actually found it, and it was like, let's just mix everybody. So that's been cool, and it's kind of been freeing for me to be able to do that. So yeah, it's been fun making more content. It's been fun getting out, and like I feel like I'm on spring break after this. But we did it, guys. I never know how to end these. I'm not good at that. And I have spent enough time with you people. I'm going to go hang out with the family, enjoy my dinner, and that's it. Again, like and subscribe if you have any ideas or you see anything on here that's interesting, or you have any book recommendations that you think I'd like. Shoot me a comment. And with that, I am out. This has been a very successful Shelf Life 27, and I will see you next week. Love ya. Bye.